and like with all this, you have to let things go to put other things in. So what are the things in your life about you that you need to let go of? What habits do you need to let go of?
How I love to vibe when I'm vibing with you. How I love to vibe when the vibing is true. How I love to vibe when I'm vibing with you. We're vibing, we're vibing, we're vibing, we're vibing. It's Mike and Cass vibing out.
Hello, beautiful spirit.
Hello, beautiful spirit. How are you today?
I'm good. I feel calm. I feel peaceful. How are you guys doing? Always wonderful to see you. Beautiful spirits out there. Thank you for joining us, whether you catch this live on Sundays or whether you can see it later on down the line. Just remember we're connected and this is meant for you and not sent it by chance. As always, I'm Mike.
I'm Cass.
And this is Mike and Cass
Vibing
vibing out. And as always, we're always holding a space of unconditional love, a space for you to be heard and seen, to know that we'll be the catalyst for your highest good and realize we're in this together. We are a community of unity. We are a family. So make sure you don't just hear us, but you reach out to us. Let us know how you're doing. Any comments, any love. We're always happy to receive it. And how can they catch us?
Every Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, we post full episodes on YouTube, so you can watch us. Full episodes on all your favorite podcast platforms, so you can listen to us while you're on the go. And then check out our TikTok, Instagram, MK Vibing Out, our website, mkvibingout.com, for merch and fun stuff like that. And you may be wondering why we're on opposite sides right now if you've watched any of our other content. So if I fall in the middle of this, then that may be part of the reason why. There's some issue with the couch leg, and we thought it may be best if I sit on this side today.
I think it'll be fine. And I'm so upset. This is like, I haven't had this couch for very long. Like my favorite color is blue, if you couldn't tell, but it's such a cool couch. But it's
I was just put in the danger zone.
Nah, you straight.
You just want me to fall?
Nah, it's not gonna happen. But anyway, that leads us to our topic for today. The power of making decisions. We thought it would be a good decision, since she weighs half as much as me, to sit on the wiggle rough side. But anyway,
if it falls, I'm gonna be the most dramatic person ever.
Yeah, and we will leave
feel
that.
bad about it for just a split second, and then I'll feel bad, and then I won't.
Well, since you warned me, I won't be foul. Probably just be laughing. But anyway, so the power of making decisions. I love how, like, for us, it's always a free flow. Nothing's prefabricated or pre-orchestrated. We kind of just allow whatever to flow through us to come through us. And
today will be interesting because I don't know anything. Like, usually I have somewhat of an idea of like, oh, that's some cool things I want to talk about, but today
I never do. I just go in.
Yeah,
I just allow the download to come
through.
You
just connected to the ethers.
That's how it works. But anyway, the power in making decisions, and what I mean by that and what we mean by that is like making a definite decision for your life, whether like making a decision of who you want to be, making a decision of like the things you've been maybe procrastinating about, the things that like, whether it's like maybe exercise or certain relationships maybe that don't serve you anymore, but you're like, I should do this. I should go work out. I should, probably, stop talking to that person as much. I should. I should. And we all know I should can lead to another 10 years of your life until you finally get to the point where it's like enough is enough.
Yeah.
So when it comes to us, being who we want to be on this earth, and it seems like so simple, but actually making an actual definite decision where you literally burn the bridges where the other option is no longer possible. It really does something to not just your conscious, but your subconscious, when that former version of yourself is no longer an option, and or when you make that decision of this is where I'm headed, the other side is no longer an option. It's not just a maybe anymore, it's an actual decision. So
that's powerful.
It is. It really
crazy.
is.
And before we get too deep into it, we're going to take a couple deep breaths together like we always do.
Yes.
Because we just want to get centered in, and that's the quickest way, easiest way for us all to do that. We recommend doing this throughout the day too. Mike's mentioned before how you should set timers throughout the day. I like telling people too, before you do something new each day, so like before you make a phone call, before you go to the kitchen and make breakfast, before you get in your car, go to work, like before you do something, take 3 deep breaths. So if you are able to just sit with us right now and close your eyes, if that is safe for you to do so, then go ahead and do that right now. And just set the intention for you to gain value from this episode and from this practice right now. So taking a deep breath in and exhale. Breathing in and exhale. One more time, breathing in and let it all go. And just come back slowly, take your time. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you if you were still.
No, that's perfect. It's good. It's good. No, that's good. It's always good to reminder, and like it's a free flow, and sometimes it's good just to. We always want to stop and do that. Cash, you're always great about remembering. Sometimes I forget to start off the sessions, but we didn't get too far into it. But, within that, it's all divinely perfect. So even within that time and those few deep breaths, there's probably some of you out there that maybe while you were breathing, took in just to take in what we already said about making decisions. And maybe there's some decisions in your life that you want to make for your life to make it better, that you've been having a hard time to have the courage to do so, or maybe you struggled with how to push yourself over the hump, to get there. And so I just want to talk you through that today, and just the benefits of it, the power of making those decisions, the outcome, and like how to get yourself over that hump, how to maintain it, and then finding accountability within that, which I hope you guys, I challenge you all. We all have things that we are trying to improve upon in our life and get better. So take a minute to make a decision about something that that needs to improve or change in your life, whether it's for yourself, whether it's in a relationship, something you want to do for yourself, and have the courage also, just for accountability, let us know what that is. Reach out to us and let us know what that thing you're working through is. And by doing that and putting it out there, it offers the automatic accountability, because none of us want to be made to be liars from the decisions, that we make, and know that we're standing strong for you in energy and space, for you to reach that success. Before I keep going, I have some ideas of like just practical things to do. Cool. But do you have anything you want to add about making decisions right now, or not yet?
Not really yet. Maybe later, like some ideas now, but
right on. And remember, like the beautiful thing about like our podcast, we never know if it's going to be 5 minutes, 15, or 35. A lot of times when I thought about the topics, like, this will probably be a 10-minute conversation.
It's always like
it ends up being like 30 minutes. But I don't want to never anything we say is just to be talking. So let's get into it. All right. So an example of starting about who the person you want to be and making a decision of what that is, and how I do is like I make a list of like, so I want to be a person who I make a decision. I'm no longer going to operate in fear. I'm not going to no longer be subconscious. I'm going to dance like nobody's watching, things of that nature. And I'm sure that somebody out there can relate to the lack of necessarily confidence to fully be yourself and not be self-conscious. I think that's something that most people struggle with, to a certain degree. So let's just take that one on hand. So within that, what does that person look like? And you make an actual list of those things. That person's confident, they feel good. And I like to side things on the side of life and death. For me, if I go through my life worried about what somebody else is thinking, what they're doing, how they feel about what I'm doing, that means I'm not being myself. That's not living. To me, that's death. And when I think about life and death, I'd rather live. So I make it that serious for myself. And so within that, life-giving, being confident, knowing that, people will be blessed by who I am. The more I can be myself, that gives other people courage to be myself. and I literally take a piece of paper and I draw a line in the sand. I draw a line, a physical line in the sand, and I put myself over on this other side of that's the decision. And then in my mind, I literally burn that bridge of the other side. And sometimes it's cutting a piece of paper and literally sometimes lighting it on fire of that, you know, that person that I used to be, and that no longer exists. You know, and so all the qualities that are over here, you keep those, you run with it, and you have those in front of you every day, but you make a dedicated decision to yourself that this is life, this is living, this is who I am moving forward, and this is death. And you burn it off and you let it go.
I love that. I'm gonna do that real soon, especially when we're recording this. The full moon's coming up on Sunday, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that would be like a great, just energetic time. You could always do this. You don't have to like wait till there's a full moon, new moon, that kind of thing. But just to let go of certain things, I think that would be really beneficial. And you know, me personally in my life been going through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of just realizations and stuff, and so to get clear on like who I want to be and who I don't want to be anymore, that would be like, I just love that you said that practice, because I'm gonna really take that on and do that. And you know,
awesome.
If you could keep me accountable for that
Absolutely.
too, then that'd be amazing.
Absolutely. We're in this together, and it's important to keep that in front of you and fresh, because it's a new person, it's a new habit. So I'm gonna let you know that, you know, a lot of times you'll start to forget. So it's important to have that paper and those reminders in front of you. And ideally finding somebody that you love, that you love dearly, that loves you, to let them know in on who you are now. Because that really cements the decision. You know, you know, like we all have integrity. We don't want to go back on our word.
Yeah.
We don't want to be made a liar. You know, so the things that you really want to change, a lot of times it's good to, you know, rope somebody in with you to tell them like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, loving person will probably ask, how you doing with that? You know, are you standing in integrity with that decision? Whatever it is. You know, and I've always said, like, if you really want to change, then you embrace accountability. You know, when you don't want to change, then you don't embrace accountability. You know, like, you know, I've had so many times, like, you know, people where it'll be like, oh yeah, I should do this. Yeah, I'm gonna get on that. It'd be like, okay, do you want me to hold you accountable for it, to make sure you do it? Like, oh no, I'm good. And I can guarantee 6 months from now it's gonna be the same shit, same behavior, same situation, same person.
Right.
You know, when you really want to change, you accept all the help you can get. So, you know, let somebody know what that change is that you're making in your life. And the beautiful thing is, you know, I hope that you have somebody who stands up for you in your life, of who you want to be in this life and is holding space for you. But if you don't, you have us. So let us know what that is, what we can stand up for you for, in your own power, and who you are now and who you claim to be in strength, because that really is who you are. And we will hold space for you and stand up for you and your next better yet to be.
Yeah, I love that. And even just like you mentioned at the beginning, writing something like writing to us, posting on social media, something like that. If you don't have one or two people that are close to you in your personal, like in-person life, just saying something out to the masses, even if the masses is 20 followers or something, can be a great way to stay accountable, because even if no one's checking in on you about that, you're gonna want to, you know, stay in integrity and stuff. And then wanted to add to just becoming a new version of you and stuff. And I think a great practice to do that, takes a lot of practice, that's why it's called that, but is reminding yourself of that person in every single situation throughout your life. Because let's say you're someone right now, you want to be very successful in your career, so you write a list of, you know, the qualities this person has and whatever, but you're just thinking in a job sense. That's awesome for the job you're in, the career you're in, but that person is also that person outside of the workplace. It's also someone, maybe they have a specific fitness routine that they do. Maybe they have specific things that they tell themselves on a daily basis in their own mind, or the way they talk to people is a little different than someone who's in your mind, not successful, right? And this is a personal thing. What do you believe that person would be, and how they would act, how they would think, how they would feel, and decisions that they would make, you know? And asking yourself, and this is hard to do, but asking yourself every moment, how would like that version of me act right now? When you're still in the process of becoming that person, be like, how would they act? Because then when you act like that, you're not just becoming, you are. You are them already.
That's a great point. Great word of wisdom and knowledge. Because it takes time. You want to stay in integrity with yourself. And asking questions are so powerful. And you can ask them without judgment of yourself, but just noticing, you know, throughout the day, does this line up with, you know, for instance, somebody who's confident? You know, even if your thought processes are telling you otherwise, you can still act accordingly within that, with the integrity of who you are now, you know, and who you're becoming, you know, so that's really important. And next, I just think I want to, you know, something that's hard and difficult within this is for all of us, you know, there's only so much time in a day. There's only so much, you know, within one of us. And like with all this, you have to let things go to put other things in, you know. So what are the things in your life about you that you need to let go of? What habits do you need to let go of? You know, whether it's like I eat ice cream every day at 9 o'clock, but I'm, you know, trying to get into a fitness routine. You know, I'm trying to be somebody where food doesn't control me. What are the things that you need to let go of? I need to let go of self-sabotaging behavior. Way I operate every day, like telling myself negative self-talk, you know, whatever it might be. What are the things that you need to let go of to become that person? Which also leads me into relationships, you know, which are really tough in our lives as Cassidy has grown and evolved, as I've grown and evolved. There's been relationships along the way that no longer served me, that I had to let go of. And those are the hardest, you know, when you love people and care about them, especially if it's people who maybe been in your life for your whole life, but you know in your heart that they do not fit into this next paradigm of who you're becoming. It just doesn't match up. And anybody on the growth path and becoming a better version of yourself, it's a natural process and it's something that happens. So this becomes a part of a decision. Number one, make a decision not to lie to yourself and try to make excuses, you know, for people and what it is. Like, oh, they've been in my life since, you know, I was in 4th grade, you know, and they do love me. I care about them, and they got, you know, 4 out of 12 good qualities. You know, they're not all bad, but when you look into life and who you're becoming, they don't fit, you know. And so within that, at least being honest, number one, if that person serves you or doesn't. And then number two, making that decision of like, that's it. This is what I deserve. This is what I want. And so just like everything else, and it's the same thing with people, in order for amazing people to come in your life, there's gotta be space for them. You know, so like the part of you that like might be like holding on to dear life to something that's comfortable that you've known for a long time, realize that there's something amazing, better than you can expect, just waiting to come in, but it can't come in until you let go of the things and the people that no longer serve you. You know, so within that, making that decision, this takes so much courage to make those decisions. Like, that's it. That's it. When it comes to like people that are in a relationship, a lot of times, you know, we can all relate to this, like the relationship, especially like with females, you guys, like the relationship's been over for 6 months. The relationship's been over for 6 months. You've checked out, you've gotten over the relationship, you've healed, but for whatever reason, you hold on and stick on until you finally get to the point where it's like, I'm so sick and tired of this. I cannot stand another moment of this person. Where in reality, it should have been like 6 months ago, or sometimes years ago.
Had a couple of those.
Years ago, I think most people have. Guys on there, we do the same things in relationships, but we're kind of less. A lot of times, we're a little. This is because guys can be dumb. Like, so we more are reactive a lot of times to certain situations, like something that might, like, you know, if you like
You're
a
more
person,
obvious about
right,
it, like, I'm not happy.
right, exactly. And like something might dumb and just break up, and then dudes like regret it or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
compared to like knowing what's in integrity with like your actual self and what's healthy. So don't get me wrong, it requires a lot of courage, but if you can at the same time, you know, lean into the energy of like how the beautiful relationships that you have, friendships, intimate relationships, spaces, and realize that even sometimes with our families, you know, those are the people that, you know, your blood and you love them, but sometimes they don't serve you in your highest yet to good, and we feel this false obligation because that's my blood, that's my family. But if your family or a person just chose to, like, you know, grab a boulder, jump in a river and drown, you know, that's my family, I'm gonna die too. You know, like you know, like at some point your life has got to matter, and maybe, you know, you becoming the next version of yourself will cause the tide to lift to make other people want to change, you know. But until then, you know, you got to value your life and realize how important your life is, you know, and how much you being the best version of yourself will be a blessing, not just to your family, but to your friends, to the world, and allow space for just beautiful beings to come in and be of service of you, and like have relationships that are beyond your wildest dreams, because you've allowed space, you know, for that, you know. And I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy. These are not like hypocritical things. These are things that we both been through. Hey fam, hopefully you're enjoying the episode. This is Mike.
This is Cass.
This is Mike and Cass.
Vibing out.
Hey, wanted to remind you to join our email list for everything we have going to stay up to date. What else, Cass?
For our programs, and make sure to check out our website, mkvibingout.com, for our merch. It's some fun stuff on there. You can rep us everywhere you go.
Go get it.
Join us there, and please continue loving our episode and enjoy.
Yes.
It's hard, but it's like once you start doing that, and maybe starting on a smaller level too with certain things, if you needing to build up that courage or something, but also don't cheat yourself away from like actually doing what's necessary. But that can be, you know, a thing too. But it's like once you start doing that, you'll just start to trust yourself more. Like I personally still have some trust issues with myself, not really with others, but just with me. But doing these things, making those hard decisions, has made me trust myself 10 times more. It's awesome. And just to remind you too that any non-decision you make is still a decision. I think we talked about that in our investments episode, at least I think we did, where it's like, even if you're passively making a decision, so let's say you're just thinking, oh, it's just easier to stay friends with this person. Then I don't have to confront them, I don't have to change anything, I'll just like, whatever, I know they're not good for me, but it's okay, I'm comfortable, you know. That's still a decision, and that's on you then, you know. And as hard as it is, we can give ourselves compassion. Don't get down on yourself because you've stuck in a relationship for 5 years more than you should have, but right now you're hearing this is a sign for you. Whatever's coming to mind where you're like, I'm scared, probably the thing to do. Just
Absolutely.
Gonna put that out there.
And within that, that's a great point, you know, like, which comes back to, you know, changing yourself, you know, is always a part of it. But also at the same time, how do you become more courageous? A lot of times you become more courageous by practicing courage. So making courageous decisions.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who becomes more courageous without taking an action in a courageous way. You know, it's like taking a leap of faith. Then it becomes easier to take a bigger leap of faith once you do that. So you just gotta jump in, and it's amazing. And I can say this personally. There's been times when, you know, like things have been really difficult, and I had, you know, say in a relationship, make a decision like this is not it, and I know it's not it. And so even though there was pain, but at the same time, there was a great sense of relief. The universe came in and gave me so much peace, like, because I know I made a decision. and I felt the wind of the universe at back. And some of you can probably relate to that at some point in your life, things that have been difficult and decisions that you've made. And even if it's been hard, there was also a sense of peace and relief, like immediately, like, oh, okay, thank God I did that. You know, it might be rough for a few months or whatever, but I made that decision. And thankfully I did. And it gets easier, and it gets easier. So once again, think about all aspects of your life and things that, you know, it's time for it to change, and realizing that you deserve the best life ever. And so what does that look like for you? And what are the things that need to change? And what are those bridges you need to burn today to live the life that you deserve?
Yeah, and if things keep coming up consistently, that's something that's happened to me a lot. And take this advice or leave it if it doesn't resonate, but like, if something keeps coming up pretty consistently, a thought, a feeling, whatever, then it's probably telling you something's there to look into, something to change. Like, I've had those, you know, thoughts a lot about like certain decisions I ended up making, right? But like my last relationship I was in, for example, it's like the thoughts were coming up for a long time of like, I don't know if this is right. And then I'd be like, oh, it is, it's cool, whatever. And like, I would stay in it, right? And that went on for so long, you know? And, but it kept coming up, the thoughts of like, is this really right? Is this what I want? And then it was the fear that kept me back. And so pay attention to anything, any feelings, any thoughts that come up, conversations, whatever it is that keep coming up in your mind consistently. And if there's no change there, then something's not right. Like, there must be some type of movement, even if it's not cutting off a person, a job, something within your own self. Like, it doesn't have to be that, but if there's no change, something needs to happen there if something keeps coming up. So, and also I've found this to be, like, making decisions a kind of cool way to communicate with the universe. And what I've been doing lately is asking for specific signs. Some people will think, oh, well, if you ask for something, your brain's just more tuned in to notice those things. And that is true. But what I like to do is, you know, I have decision 1, decision 2, don't know which one to make. So I'll ask the universe for something very specific. Show me a tennis ball for this decision. Show me a soccer ball for this decision. And that will kind of determine, you know, if I'm in a situation, I'm thinking of that and end up seeing a soccer ball. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then, of course, take things all into consideration, how you feel about it, your own intuition. But I find that to be, even with little decisions, like, should I go here for lunch or should I go here? You know, it's kind of a fun way to talk to the universe. And for me, helps strengthen my intuition. I've been, I don't know, feeling called to that lately. Have you ever done anything like that?
No,
Okay.
not that,
Yeah.
but, you know, more so just, you know, your gut knows, you know, you don't need to overthink. You know what the truth is. You know if something doesn't serve you or doesn't serve you. And then the only thing I would say, like, what made me think about is within our own selves, we're our own worst enemies, and we're our own biggest, you know, help and supporter within that. The only caveat to that, if it's like, you know, when you've taken a leap of faith or something and you start questioning yourself within that, like where it's coming from, you know, understand that sometimes we have self-defeating beliefs and limiting beliefs that'll try to keep us where we were before. So it's important to kind of notice those and look at them rather than like hindrances. But like with the things that comes like that are more obvious, and like, you know, if your friends or whoever are telling you, like, say, you know, we've all been in situations like where if you maybe been in like a toxic relationship or something where, you know, everybody around you love you is telling you, oh, that person's, you know, piece of whatever. But no, like everybody's just so common where like you don't listen, and then, you know, it becomes clear to you, you know, like, you know, you finally stop lying to yourself, and it's like, oh, damn, you know, what somebody told me, well, people did or didn't want to tell you whatever. So to me, from my experience, it's kind of like more simple and things that are like obvious, and it's like, you know, in your gut and heart what the courageous and right thing to do is. You know, it's just a matter of you like honoring that, you know, within yourself whatever it is. It's like, you know, if you're miserable, like at your job, you know, if, you know, the person you're not happy, you know, if you're not happy in a relationship, you know, if you're not happy. Why is that? Is there something that needs to change in behavior? Is it within myself, or is that the person? You know, and there's certain patterns within that. You know, if you're not like happy with yourself, you know, and so like, what's going to make me happy? What does that look like? You know, and then making decisions, even if you're not clear on what it is, but making that decision, I'm gonna do whatever it is to make me happy and do those things. We complicate things so often in life, you know, when it's really not complicated. We complicate things by lying to ourselves and trying to tell ourselves a bunch of reasons that keep us in a stagnant place and or a limited perspective and a limited being where we're comfortable. You know, we get too comfortable even in misery. We know how to do that. You know, so you know in your gut always what the deal is. It's just a matter of having the courage to stop saying should and eventually and would, and realize that you know, your life is too important. And also what I've learned in owning a business is like, I follow things by my gut, you know, and thankfully I made mostly right decisions. But the power in making a decision, even if it's like not necessarily the right one, it'll still push me on the right path in the right direction. It's just like, make a damn decision. Don't waddle on the water, you know, like just make a decision. And then if you need to make a different decision and pivot, you have the power to do so. But quit like fiddling on the line of excellence and, you know, mediocrity or misery, you know, and know what you deserve. And it's time for us all to be courageous. And it's like, it's always evaluating, you know, for myself. You know, there's always decisions that I have to make, you know, like I'm gonna do it again with you, like decisions of like how I want to navigate through this life moving forward, and the things that go along with complete joy, peace, and all those good things, you know. So just make the decision, you know, make the decision. You know what it is. You know what it is. Don't question yourself. You know what the truth is.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, since you have been someone who's taken so many leaps of faith in your life and just like done the more risky things that a lot of people would be like, oh, don't do that, but you're following your intuition, you know what's, you know, you need to do. Like, I've heard a lot of people, and even myself with certain decisions, where it's like, we know what we want, but then everything else is pointing towards the other way. Like, oh, don't do that, logic says this, you know, life says this, whatever. And sometimes it's like there's such a strong intuitive feeling and you're just like, I gotta go for it. But what if like someone's on the line of that? Do you have any like advice
that's actually a great question. You know, and on that line, this is good to like write down what that line looks like. It's good to get it out, like making that list. You know, it's like the pros and cons list of a situation. And if you look at a pros and cons list of a situation, you'll notice on the side of some of those things, you'll find limiting beliefs. So like when you make that list, you know, you find limiting beliefs. And then, you know, like, oh, that's what's causing the teeter-totter on this, you know, based in like, I can't, you know, because anybody who's done anything outside the norm, it's because everybody else has played into this is what's possible for your life.
Right.
And the things that were impossible were completely impossible to that one person who was like, no, that's not impossible. Person that ran the 4-minute mile the first time, and then that's a great, you know, example. Then several hundred people did it like within 2 years after that, once the person broke that barrier. So many things have happened even in life in the last 50 years that people say were impossible until that one person had enough courage and listened to their intuition to follow through. You know, to do it. So like that's a quick and easy way to you know, get on the line, because you can observe and you see, and it's like, oh, it's clear.
No, and I was gonna say, the thing that I thought of when you were saying that is making the pros and cons list. Seeing if there's limiting beliefs, and then seeing which side is more like a feeling based versus like logical, materialistic kind of stuff, which we need to think about sometimes. Like if you know, money is an issue with whatever you're deciding on, or like a specific person or something, having a friend in your life, like that type of thing. We need to think of those things, but then which one actually feels the most fulfilling, even without the other logical stuff like you having to deal with, even though yes, we have to deal with it. But I've noticed in my life is like we have to balance, you know, our both sides of our brain, our mind, life, which is like the creative, intuitive, flow like state, and then, you know, the logical, rational, scientific sort of mind. And they both have a place. They're both awesome, but we've become so like just focused in on this limitation, just science, I have to see it to believe it kind of thing, instead of believing it to see it, right? And that would be the more intuitive side. And what I've realized in my own life, and at least this is how I have felt the best and felt the most guided and the most support from the universe and other people and stuff, is when going towards what actually makes me feel good, like in a deeper way, and not placing as much attention on the rational side of things, even though it has its place and I still think in a very rational way, but not putting so much weight on that. I think we've overcompensated a bit.
You can pretty much correlate logic with limitation.
Yeah.
Because what's logical for many is just limited beliefs.
Right.
You know, and so what's completely illogical.
Just a disguise.
So within yourself and intuition, like almost every major decision I've made has lacked logic to anybody else. So also, you know, you want to be careful who you let in, like, you know, but that would be a different episode. Like we can do a Dream Keepers episode, and, you know, following your dreams and how to do that successfully, which I've been doing for a very long time. And within like my dreams, they're not logical. There's no like, you make these steps and you'll get here. And there's not too many people that do it and have done it or done the same things or anything remotely like that. So to ask for people who live their life in a way that's extraordinarily limited, not taking risk behavior, to share your dreams, you're gonna get their well-meaning worries, doubts, and fears that feeds into that part of yourself. So that's something to be careful about. But I don't want to get off topic. Back to, you know, making, you know, ultimately decisions with your life. You know in your gut, you know what's best for you in any given situation, and you'll surprise yourself and allow the universe to show up for you, you know, by making decisions. Get in the habit of making decisions. You'll also start saving time, energy, and money, learning to say like no, yes. Just make a damn decision. Don't worry about being wrong. You know, and the more you do it, the more you get in tune with your intuition, and you'll make bigger decisions and bigger ones. So think about those things. Please reach out to us. Let us know what decisions you're deciding to make today. We love you. We'll be holding space. We'll be practicing with you. We good?
Yeah.
All right. Till next time, it's Mike.
I'm Cass.
Mike and Cass vibing out. We love you.